The city's night air was heavy, thick with the scent of rain and the distant hum of traffic. Neon lights flickered in puddles, painting the sidewalks with shifting colors. It was the kind of night that made the world feel both alive and lonely, where every shadow seemed to hold a secret. For Leo, this was the usual end to his late shift, a slow, solitary walk through the city's sleeping heart. His footsteps echoed on the wet pavement, each one a reminder of the long hours spent away from home, from his son who waited for him with sleepy eyes and hopeful questions. For Leo, it was just another weary journey home to his son, until a piercing scream shattered the quiet. It was the desperate cry of a child, sharp and urgent, slicing through the night's calm. Instinct took over, adrenaline surging as Leo's senses sharpened. He didn't think, he just moved. There, illuminated by the harsh glare of a streetlight, stood a terrified little girl. She was frozen in place, her eyes wide with fear, caught in the path of something terrible. In that instant, Leo saw not just a stranger's child, but every child, his own son included, vulnerable and alone. Without a moment's hesitation, Leo became a shield. He lunged forward, placing himself between the girl and the danger. A bullet meant for someone else, a split-second decision that would change everything. Time seemed to slow as he acted on pure instinct, driven by a father's love and a stranger's courage. Pain exploded in his side, hot and blinding, but Leo's only thought was for the small hand he'd pushed to safety. He barely registered the chaos erupting around him, the shouts, the screech of tires, the distant wail of sirens. All that mattered was that the girl was safe. He had always taught his son to do what's right, no matter the cost. He remembered quiet evenings at home, sharing stories and lessons, hoping to shape his boy into someone brave and kind. Now, in this moment, Leo wondered if he had truly lived up to his own words. As chaos erupted, shouts, sirens, running feet, Leo's world began to blur at the edges. The city, once so familiar, became a swirl of lights and noise. He could hear people calling for help, see the flashing red and blue of emergency vehicles, but it all felt distant, as if he were watching from underwater. In that split second, Leo had stepped into a mugging gone wrong, sacrificing himself for a stranger's child. He hadn't planned to be a hero, he'd simply acted, driven by something deep inside him, something that refused to let him stand by and do nothing. Lying on the cold, unforgiving pavement, Leo's thoughts drifted to his own son. Had he failed him by risking everything for someone else's child? Would his son understand why he did what he did? The questions gnawed at him, heavy as the pain in his side. The uncertainty haunted him as darkness crept in, his vision narrowing, the world slipping away. He wondered if his sacrifice would matter, if his son would remember him as a man who stood up for what was right, even when it cost him everything. In that moment, as the city braced for a new day, everything changed. Leo's act of courage would ripple outward, touching lives he'd never know, and reminding everyone that sometimes, the smallest moments can define us forever. Leo's life was built on hardship and love. A single father, he worked 2 jobs, sacrificing sleep and comfort for his son Noah. Their tiny apartment was filled with warmth, not wealth. Leo's mantra, kindness costs nothing and is worth everything. He taught Noah to be gentle, to see the good in people, and to find joy in small moments. It was this love and principle that led him to an act of extraordinary courage. Leo's walk home was routine, until a scream shattered the night. He rushed toward the sound, finding a mugging in progress and a little girl paralyzed by fear. The mugger's gun flashed in the dim light, and Leo's instincts kicked in. He lunged, pushing the girl behind him just as the gun fired. Pain tore through him, but he saw the girl safe. The mugger fled, sirens wailed in the distance. Leo's world narrowed to ragged breaths and the knowledge he'd saved a life. The cost of his action was only beginning to reveal itself. He had acted without thought for himself, only for the innocent. The city's chaos faded as he slipped into unconsciousness. One selfless moment had changed everything. Leo awoke to the sterile brightness of a hospital, the harsh fluorescent lights above him blurring into a white haze. The world felt distant, muffled by the steady beeping of machines and the faint scent of antiseptic. For a moment he couldn't remember how he'd gotten there, only that his body ached in places he didn't know could hurt. Pain anchored him to reality, sharp and unyielding, reminding him with every breath that he was alive. Each movement sent a jolt through his limbs and he clung to the bedsheet, trying to steady himself against the overwhelming discomfort. Panic for Noah surged through him, a tidal wave of fear and helplessness. He tried to sit up to call out, but his body refused to obey. His mind raced with questions. Where was his son? Was he safe? The weight of uncertainty pressed down on him, heavier than any injury. Then, through the blur, a woman appeared at his bedside. Eleanor Vance, the mother of the girl he'd risked everything to save. Her presence was both a comfort and a mystery, her eyes filled with a mix of relief and sorrow. Her gratitude was raw, her composure cracking as she thanked him over and over. Tears welled in her eyes, her voice trembling with emotion. She spoke of courage, of sacrifice, and how his actions had changed her family's life forever. She explained that paramedics had arrived quickly, their swift response making all the difference. The chaos of that day replayed in her words, but now there was relief. Because of Leo, tragedy had been averted. Her daughter, Amelia, was safe. The little girl he'd pulled from danger was now recovering, her smile a testament to Leo's bravery. And Leo, battered and exhausted, was in the best care the hospital could offer. Nurses moved quietly around him, checking monitors and adjusting his blankets, their gentle efficiency a small comfort in the unfamiliar room. Eleanor had already arranged everything. Noah was safe, she assured him. She'd made calls, pulled strings, and ensured that Leo's son was being looked after. Her assistant was caring for Noah, keeping him company in the waiting area, making sure he was fed and comforted while his father recovered. Noah had been told the truth. His father was a hero. The boy's eyes had lit up with pride, his worries eased by the knowledge that Leo's bravery had saved a life. Eleanor had even covered all the hospital bills, refusing to let Leo worry about money. She wanted him to focus on healing, not on the mounting costs that would have haunted him otherwise. For Leo, who'd always counted every dollar and feared every unexpected expense, this act of kindness was overwhelming. The relief was almost as powerful as the pain. He could finally rest, if only for a moment. In the chaos, a stranger had become his lifeline. Eleanor's compassion bridged the gap between their worlds, offering him hope when he'd felt most alone. The world he knew was gone, replaced by uncertainty and unexpected kindness. The view outside the window was gray and unfamiliar, but inside something had shifted. Leo realized that even in the darkest moments there could be light. For the first time in a long while, Leo wasn't alone in his struggle. Support surrounded him, from strangers and friends alike, reminding him that he didn't have to carry the burden by himself. As dawn crept through the hospital window, painting the room with soft gold, Leo felt a quiet hope stirring within him. A new chapter was beginning, one shaped by courage, connection, and the promise of healing. Recovery was slow and painful, each day a battle against frustration and fear. Leo's old anxieties crept in, lost wages, lost time, and uncertain future. Eleanor became a constant presence, her visits shifting from formal updates to genuine conversation. They shared stories of single parenthood, struggles, and dreams. The powerful CEO faded, revealing a mother who understood his fears. One day, Amelia visited, shyly handing Leo a card, a superhero with Enel on his chest. Gratitude and emotion filled the room, breaking down the walls between them. They were no longer hero and stranger, but two parents bound by a moment of terror and kindness. Leo's world, once defined by hardship, was opening to new possibilities. Healing was more than physical, it was the start of something bigger. Hope began to return. As Leo sat in the quiet of his small apartment, the reality of his situation pressed down on him like a heavy blanket. The injuries he'd suffered had cost him both of his jobs, and now, with his savings nearly gone, the future looked uncertain and frightening. Every bill that arrived felt like a reminder of how quickly life could change, and how fragile security really was. He worried not just for himself, but for his young son, Noah, whose bright eyes still looked to him for comfort and stability. Sensing his growing despair, Eleanor reached out, not just with words of comfort, but with something far more meaningful. She saw the anxiety etched on Leo's face and knew that gratitude alone wasn't enough. She wanted to help in a way that would truly make a difference. Eleanor explained that her company was searching for a trustworthy, reliable person to serve as a live-in property manager at a peaceful, well-kept apartment complex. It was a safe place, far from the chaos that had upended Leo's life, and the position required someone with a steady hand and a kind heart. The offer was more than just a job. It included a fully furnished apartment, a stable salary, and responsibilities that Leo could manage even as he continued to heal. For the first time in months, he felt a glimmer of hope. a sense that maybe, just maybe, things could get better. This was not charity, Eleanor insisted, but a genuine opportunity. It was a chance for Leo and Noah to start over, to build a new life together in a place where they could feel safe and secure. The prospect of unpacking boxes with his son, of making new memories in a fresh space, filled Leo with cautious optimism. Leo could hardly believe what was happening. The kindness and trust Eleanor showed him were overwhelming. He had never expected such generosity, and the offer felt like a dream he was afraid to wake from. For the first time in a long while, Leo imagined a future where he could provide for Noah, where laughter could echo through their home, and where hope could take root again. The promise of steady work, a safe home, and precious time with his son revived dreams he thought he'd lost forever. Eleanor's offer was heartfelt and sincere, a true act of gratitude for the help Leo had given her. She saw in him qualities that went beyond any resume: resilience, honesty, and a deep kindness that couldn't be measured. She recognized his integrity and the quiet strength he carried, and she respected him for it. Their connection was built on mutual respect and understanding, a rare bond formed in the aftermath of hardship. As Leo held the job offer letter in his hands, he realized this was more than employment. It was a lifeline, a chance to rebuild, and a new beginning for both him and his son. With gratitude and disbelief mingling in his heart, Leo accepted. Tears welled in his eyes as he hugged Noah, knowing that their lives were about to change for the better. As they stepped into their new home, sunlight streaming through the open door, Leo felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in years. Fate, it seemed, had finally turned in his favor, offering him not just a second chance but a future filled with hope. Moving day brought excitement and hope. Their new home was spacious, safe, and filled with promise. Noah had his own room, laughter echoing in a way it never had before. Leo's new job suited him: steady work, a caring community, and for the first time, time to spare. Exhaustion faded, replaced by peace. Eleanor and Amelia became part of their lives. Weekend barbecues, shared laughter, two families blending into one. Noah and Amelia became inseparable friends. Leo and Eleanor's friendship deepened, built on respect and shared experience. The lines between hero and stranger blurred into something beautiful. Leo had found not just a new home, but a new family. Months passed and Leo's scar faded, but his transformation was deeper. He enrolled in property management courses, determined to build a future. The bond between the two families grew stronger. Leo and Eleanor's affection blossomed quietly, rooted in trust and shared history. One sunny day at the park, watching their children play, Eleanor remarked, "They're happy." Leo replied, "We're all happy." The ghosts of their past faded, replaced by hope. Eleanor had given Leo more than a job, she'd restored his faith in life. He in turn showed her the strength in vulnerability. They had saved each other. For the first time, Leo looked forward to the future, knowing he wouldn't face it alone. Life's greatest rewards often come when we give without expectation. Leo's story began with a selfless act, saving a stranger's child. He never sought thanks or reward, only to do what was right. His journey proved that kindness isn't a transaction but a force that ripples outward. His sacrifice became a beginning, not an end. He gained more than a job or a home. He found family, belonging, and love. The story isn't about a hero's reward, but the power of an ordinary man's good heart. Our choices, especially in crisis, define us. Leo's act changed many lives, including his own. Giving without expectation, he discovered, can change your destiny.
What's something people don't know about stories? They never truly end. There's always a new adventure waiting for you. Just pick your next tale and I'll meet you there. Subscribe to the Story Circle and let me know which story I should tell next in the comments.